we focus on helping you claim what's rightfully yours, your health and your freedom. We explore the three main areas of health: the physical realm, the biochemical realm, and the mental and emotional realm. We also explore all the areas of lifestyle we can find that will help you live more abundantly, regardless of where you're starting. And remember, in life, you'll either make excuses or create results. You choose. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Hant, and I'm glad to be with you here today. Make sure to head on down to the show notes and click on the link to join our tribe of human-powered life heroes, where we'll update you on new shows, events, product launches, and so much more. Now, it's time to enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Human Powered Life podcast. We have an amazing guest today, someone I've known for probably now more than a decade, maybe even 2 decades at this point. This is Dr. Lou Corleto. Welcome.
Thanks, Josh. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Lou. So Lou and I have a little bit of a background. I was introduced and met Dr. Lou Corleto at a chiropractic seminar, and I can't even tell you how long ago it was. I believe I may not have even been a chiropractic student. I may have just been, a high school kid at a seminar and got to listen to Lou speak from this stage. And how I resonated with Lou was, to me, he was like very heartfelt. Like I felt like he was talking at me and directly to me, not the 400 or 300 people that were in the room, but I felt like I was being spoken to. And every time I've heard him speak, and even the most recent time, which is not that long ago, reconnecting with Lou through the same chiropractic seminar, he's blossomed into this amazing, well, not that he wasn't amazing before, but this whole evolution of where he is now is just blew my mind. And I'm like, I have to have Lou on the show. Like, I really need to have him speak about what he does and who he is and who he has become. So Lou, give us a little bit of your background and then bring us to where we are now.
Wow. Thanks, Josh. And thanks for the confirmation, for the acknowledgement of change and transformation in my own journey. So I appreciate that. Yeah. How about that? In the sense of connecting and watching your development as well, right? So quite profound. My journey, goodness. So in a nutshell, I was born into a large family who were running the classic American lifestyle, right? Mom and dad, hard workers. Dad was an engineer, mom was a nurse. I'm one of 9 kids. And I grew up in a traditional American family. My mom was a director of nurses, so I grew up in a allopathic model as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And then life started moving on me. I had awareness of being conscious when I was young. I was doing different things. I was already working with, like, I'd be the kid that was bringing home wounded animals in the woods. Or I get a bird that hurt his wing, right? And I'm already doing stuff, right? Like that, it just innately. And then evolution through, going through high school and sports and really being hard on myself and breaking myself. When I was a kid, they put me in a cast. I think I was maybe 9 or 10. And I actually out in the garage cutting the cast off because I knew innately I needed to be free and mobile. Yeah, well, I didn't know any better that, because I saw it on TV. I didn't know they had special saws. I'm literally using a skill saw. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. I had the smarts to know how to put the depth of the blade, but my mom walked out in the middle of me in the garage cutting it off, and she's like, "Wah!"
I can only imagine.
Yeah, right. And being a parent, I can only imagine as well. Like, holy shit, he's going to amputate himself. And so there was this innate drive of, something's in there. And then I'm in undergraduate school, just floundering around, playing ball. Football, had a grant to play football. Had no clue what I wanted to do in life. None. I was just enjoying life and playing with my friends, partying and playing sports. That was the gig, right? And then all of a sudden, I started getting these hits about this thing called chiropractic. I'd never heard of it before. I grew up in the medical model, good or bad. I never heard either way. And then they started laying in my lap, right? So long story short, I get this call. I kind of wake up like Scotty beam me down. I'm in an orientation at Life College. And then that was it. I woke up. I literally had a spiritual awakening. And from that moment on, my drive has been going, what is this healing force in all sentient beings? and how can I get access to that and bring it out to play in myself and others? So that's been my drive for the last 35 years. So I've traveled the world. I've literally been in all 7 continents. I've studied with monks in Tibet and shamans in South America and just across the border in this, and I still do to this day. What is this essence, right? And how do we get it to come out and play for transformation of life, health, consciousness, healing of the planet, the whole deal, because it's all connected. So
yeah, that's
so in a nutshell, that's my baby journey, and I'm doing the hero's journey, right? As I discover my own transformation, then I've come back in order to help those who, and then I get to do my best at paying it forward for all the people who helped my journey.
Yeah, so let's step back into like, graduating from chiropractic school. I know like we get really deep in the weeds of science, and it's easy to get beat down in your school, even though when you have this focus. And I was very grateful for myself to be surrounded by people like yourself as a student that were feeding this life force, feeding all of this into my brain as I'm sitting and studying, bones and nerves and all of these things. When did you ever have a challenge in school where you thought like, maybe I'm thinking a little too outside the box. Maybe I need to stand a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I spent most of my life outside the box, not realizing I was outside the box. I just knew that I was different. But what grabbed, so to answer your question, not really, because I smashed into it a lot because I was definitely uniquely expressing myself.
Yeah.
Yet the driving force was I really, for whatever, right, soulfully bought into the vitalism chiropractic. Not so much the science. I wasn't a need to prove kind of guy. It was just going, oh my God, this is true. Like just down to the core of my being. I remembered deeply this truth. And that's what drove me. I was just going, look, I'm just speaking truth, right? And so any of the conflict with 3-dimensional reality or the paradigms that were around of science and health and how we're supposed to function were definitely diametrically opposed to what I had just woken up to. So that was a unique dance. Like, how do I navigate? Like for instance, my family, right? They're all like, you have been brainwashed, right? Because I mean, right. So here I am, one of 9, medically, driven family, 3 kids, all born at home, never vaccinated, right? This entire different shift in one generation.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's happened to you? I'm like, you're right. I have been brainwashed. I took it out and I scrubbed it clean of all the shit that other people put in it, right? Including some of you guys, like my own genetic family.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking for me now, right? I'm not running an old paradigm of being a sheeple, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
answering your question?
Yeah, but and that's so cool. And just to share, just like I had a very similar experience, like just be like growing up, I grew up in a chiropractic family, but being in a world that's allopathic, that's very medical minded, a pill for every ill. I remember being in school and would be around kids and like, oh, I was sick, I took a Tylenol. and our response, like me, my brother, my sister, we'd be like, you take drugs?
Right.
Like, and the kids will look at you like, huh?
No,
like,
they're medicines. They're not drugs.
So, and that's the same way that we're always bouncing off of this wall of normalcy that we always stood out, even though we're really the same, but we stood out because we had a different connection with life itself. We didn't live in that shuttered world. And just to,
sorry. It's, and as you well know, and I'm sure your listeners do as well, is, but that's the majority of the consciousness, right? Because the paradigm has got roots. So like, as I awoke into my journey, I remember then looking back and peeling layers going, oh my God, this paradigm is so profound. The people that are supposed to be the leaders of all the subgroups, right? Especially in something like religion or even spirituality. I would look, I'm like, wow, it doesn't matter if it's a rabbi or a priest or a minister. When they became ill, quote unquote, did they dive deeper into what they do? Like, well, let me connect to God deeper to heal myself. No, they went right into the model, right? I'm like, oh my God, it's that pervasive. These are the people at the top of the food chain that don't own their own story, right? And so that kept unraveling my own life. Like, whoa, then whole, so it was a huge like, whoo, how do I dance this dance when even my old belief systems were being shattered? And then what do I hold on to now? Well, that's, spiritual truth, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this society is driven by that. We want to normalize pathology and pathologize the normal.
Mm.
And now post 2020, that's, oh my God, this is so Josh, yesterday I got this Facebook reminder, this post that popped up from 2016. I was traveling one of the islands and somewhere in the Caribbean. And I walked through immigration customs. I went to get my bags and I ran into the restroom, and literally it was like a bumper sticker on a mirror. I have this photo. I'll have to send it to you so you can attach to this episode. And it says, the person in the mirror is responsible for your health and safety, right? So I took a picture of this going, oh my God, like brilliant, right? Now this is 2016 as the Facebook memory tells me.
Yeah.
And so back then, the reason I took the picture and put the post was like, hey, can you imagine if the rest of the world adopted this philosophy? The person in the mirror is responsible for your health and safety. Like, boom, really simple concept. Yep. Now, just a few years later, that same island and the rest of the globe went, no, you're not. You're not responsible for your health and safety. Someone else is. And you're responsible for other people's health and safety, right? Like violating that concept. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. And it was, so I have a question. Was that sticker from like the company that put the mirror up, or was it from the government?
It was government. It was the government. Yeah. It's got the logo on there and everything, like, on behalf of whatever, the health department of that government. Yeah.
And then how cool is that there was awareness there, but when it didn't fit their model anymore, it's like, nope, we're peeling those stickers right off and we own you.
Right. Yeah. So from the original model of empowering people to stop being a victim, right? Like, hey, you in the mirror, your life is your responsibility. Like, own it. Take responsibility for it, right? Quit being a victim.
Yeah.
You're not a victim to the universe. You're not a victim to microbes, right? Like, hello, you're supposed to be the crowning creation. Start behaving that way. No. You are a broken, stupid machine that doesn't know how to function. You need to rely on us, right? And like, turn of events.
Yeah. So let's connect with that. So with that, what you just last said, when you were actively in practice, and we as chiropractors, we interact with the world, right? We interact with the people of the world, the people that are on both sides of the paradigm. And I always have, I can't say a challenge, but it's like a mental challenge. I'm like, I wish they would know what I know and could believe what I believe. I think, the world would just be a better place. So while you were in practice, early on, even as you started going through these transformations yourself, were there points where you got to see some stuff that was so wild and amazing? I'll call it a miracle, even though it's a norm, but like a miracle. Did you see anything really wild health-wise, or even anything? With yourself or other people?
Because you do, right?
Yeah.
So I like even today's current paradigm, it would be off the charts nuts, or like that can't happen. Thousands of them, right? I mean, everything from tumors on livers going away, like documented medically, to people who are paralyzed getting up and walking again, like just off the charts, from physiological stuff to people who had demonic voices in their head, done, clear, back online, right?
Yeah.
Like just across the border, amazing transformations. And as you know, so I taught around the world for decades how to help other chiropractors up-level their ability to access this force, right?
Yeah.
And a huge part of that was, and always is, we can't help anybody go any further than we're willing to. Right? Hence the reason that practitioners need to work on themselves on a consistent level so they can keep delivering the goods.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because the better we become as vehicles for this thing, the more profound the outcome for the person we're serving. Right.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. And so, yes, sir, thousands of these miracles on a regular basis. Right.
Well, then I guess like the first time you had a patient or a practice member come to you and say, hey, doc, I don't have any liver tumors anymore. I haven't done anything else but, get care from you. Like, what was going on in your mind at that first time, like something happened? Hey, we're giving you a short break here. where you can head down to the show notes or lifestylelocker.com and join our tribe of human-powered life heroes. You'll be the first to know about new shows, events, product launches, affiliate specials, and more. And now, back to the show.
So great question. And there was the linear connection to me, but the nonlinear connection because of busting my ass as a student, right, going through school.
Yeah.
I had been, because one of the art forms that I was studying, I was at the, the Mother Center studying my ass off with these guys, right?
Okay.
Guys, male and female, right? And so these were world class, like the top of the food chain, delivering the adjustment. And I got to vicariously live through them. So like when I was in, whatever, like 8th quarter, I'm up with these people and they're adjusting people with fractures, right? So I'm already in the field of going, holy shit. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that, right? Like the old paradigm, but I'm watching it. I'm like, whoa. And then seeing people doing these things, I'm like, well, if they can do it, right? The whole adage, right? If they can do it, it's possible. How do I get to do that? Work my ass off and become really good at delivering the goods, right?
Yeah.
So by the time I got to experience it, it wasn't this like, oh my God, because I'd been around it. It was just now I'm directly involved. Then it was like, hey, holy crap, right? So my biggest thing was to make sure I kept my ego in check, that it wasn't me doing the work.
Yes. Yeah. You weren't doing the healing itself or the changing. So that's so cool. So you're delivering the goods, you're seeing patients and teaching chiropractors. And then we have this transformation that keeps happening in your life. And, I always was able to follow you on social, and I would say, okay, this guy's skydiving around the world. He's doing these retreats. He's scuba diving, 27 days a week. I'm like, what does he do? He's connecting with people and he's always got a smile on his face. So what is this transformation, like where we are now? I know you said 9 years ago, we had another shift.
Yeah.
So what was this shift and where are we?
Good question. I'm still figuring. I asked that same thing this morning when I got up. I'm like, hey, where are we? What's up? So yeah, it was this gift of life, which, that whole beauty for all of us, like life works for us, life happens for us, not to us. Right. And when I was a victim, life was happening to me. Right. And I played a victim for a large part of my life. Getting broken, going through the windshield of a car, breaking my neck, doing all these things. And right, the other people got tickets. So it reinforced my victimhood, right? It wasn't my fault. And so through this gift of waking up and becoming conscious, fully conscious. So during that time, the last 30 some odd years, the traveling, the teaching was only because I became really good at what I did and people wanted it, right? So it was a byproduct, not an intention of, I want to go teach around the world. I just started getting these invitations. So it started within chiropractic first, teaching other chiropractors. Then it became, hey, can you come work with my community, right? Then I started going to lay people, hence the retreats. And it was all just an evolution of this vitalism, right? Who we be, like, who is this? You are the driver, not the vehicle, right? So the spirit, the innate intelligence, whatever people want to call that force inside. And it was teaching people to remember, right? So that's where the evolution is. That was the practice was, hey, remember who you be. The point of the adjustment is to unite man, the physical, with man, the spiritual, so you can have a full self-expression. It was never about healthcare. And so the offerings and the request to teach was just an extension of what I was already doing in the practice. Is now, how can you participate in your life consciously? What are the tools? How do you access that? So that had been going on for decades. A few days in the practice, teach around the world. A few days in the practice, teach around the world. And then eventually Spirit's going, it's time for you to let go of this. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, I resisted for a long time. Like, this is working great, right? I like this gig. And then it kept pushing where it was, let go, surrender. You need to do this differently. So we sold the brick and mortar, meaning the practice. And it's just evolved in the sense of teaching and speaking and holding retreats around the world to keep doing this work at a deeper and more profound level.
Yeah. So in your journey, and as we teach, the word doctor does mean to teach, right? Like we are teaching our people, you're teaching your community, your tribe now. In your journey leading up to where we are now, I know you had obviously chiropractic mentors and chiropractors as being mentors. Who are some of your mentors on the other side?
Oh goodness, yeah, that would be a multi-day podcast yeah, to give credit to all the people. So for
Of
sure, the
course.
people, um, and the chiropractic mentors were also some of the ones that would also cross on the other side, right?
Okay.
Because they weren't just delivering, the science and the philosophy or
Mhm.
the adjustment per se, but it was the wisdom that was consciousness. So one of my greatest teachers, Pasquale, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, he was under the umbrella of chiropractic, but he was pure consciousness. This guy was the most aware man I've ever met. I'm just now, I'll be washing a dish and something, I'm like, oh, I finally got what he said to me, 25 years ago, right? I mean, it's still trickling down the depth of his
Okay. Yeah.
wisdom. And as I mentioned, so then I went outside of the umbrella of chiropractic across the border. Who are the people doing the work? So I've got people that you don't know their names, but they're lamas in Tibet, right? That I got
Okay.
to
Okay.
study
Yeah.
with, right? So there's people in neuroscience, there's people in psychology, there's people in physiology, breath workers, right? So I'm a certified breath worker. I went to Denmark to work with the guy who holds the Guinness World Record for holding his breath. He was a four-time world champion. He's held his breath for 22 minutes.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like a week. That's like a normal. I'm just kidding. 22
Yeah.
minutes. Wow.
Yeah, it's just bonkers, right? So I'm training with these folks going like, what are you doing? Like, how do you do this, right? And so, yeah, I've just been inspired to keep working with the best of the best to how do we access the main force of my life is definitely the healing capacity, but it's grown into conscious living, intentional living,
Yeah.
right? How do we show up and live intentionally to get rid of the old models of limitations that
Mm.
most of us grew up in? I definitely did, but as I travel the world, people are.
Mm.
And in order to express your divinity and what's possible in health and healing and relationship,
Yeah.
giving back to your community, right? I started a nonprofit 25 years ago where we took
Mm.
chiropractors into parts of the world, giving back, right? So no charge, and we took care of tens of thousands of people every week. We went, right?
Yeah. So then I want to come back to this. So with all of these masters, if you will, like the masters of the universe, these people that are like the best of what they do, did you find that they already had figured out or were in that same kind of evolution in their lives, going like, we're connecting to something bigger than just us? Like this guy that can hold his breath for 22 minutes, right?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
have the
sure. Across the border, they were all connected to a higher source, right? That
yeah,
there whatever that was. In science, they were connected to the field. If it was spirituality, they were connected to spirit, right? A god force, a goddess force, whatever their connection was.
yeah,
Yet there was this field of intelligence, right? This field of magic, of
yeah.
yumminess that we were all embedded with. And then how do we, right? That's why, like in my journey, my little tagline or mantra is when you remember that you're the driver, not the vehicle, then you can walk your life in trust, right? Like, as you mentioned earlier, so skydiver, scuba diver, firewalker. I mean, I do a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that's challenging. I've never had a health insurance policy. I don't spend a dime. I don't have one. And people are like, oh my God, are you crazy? What if you get broken? I'm like, I've been broken and I heal, right? I don't have a health insurance because I have a health assurance.
Assurance. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. But it's congruent. Like, okay, there's people that talk that way, but they still have, a $4 million health insurance policy that they pay just in case. I'm like, okay, not a judgment, but for me, the congruence is I don't have a back door,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just a path of running this thing of trust and truth, and I challenge myself on it. So I keep going, where is my congruency and where is it not, right? And that's another reason I keep putting myself in these positions through studying, the personal development
Mm.
models of like peak performance. It's come down to, the science is the only way we grow is to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We
This
can't
is
grow in
true.
the comfort zone, right? And so I then consistently put myself in uncomfortable positions. It might be in a room with people who make more money than I do, right? And that's uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
Being at the bottom of the food chain with something, or speaking, right? Because I speak on platforms, so I put myself with world class speakers, and oh shit, like I don't belong in this room. The stuff going, no, I'm here to
Mhm.
grow. So yeah, how do we
Yeah.
put ourselves in uncomfortable positions in order to get out of the comfort in order to grow?
I think that's a huge takeaway right there. Just that 60 seconds right there, people. If you didn't get anything from this right now, that is huge. Getting uncomfortable is a massive way for growth. Massive. And I love that you didn't say it's just a physical thing with discomfort. It's can be anything.
Across the border.
Be anything.
Yeah. And my journey, and so for what it's worth to the listening audience, is the real gift is when you become comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Meaning that's your walk, instead of periodically doing it, like, okay, everything's cool. Oh, let me go challenge myself, right? Versus I consistently challenge myself, therefore I'm comfortable with constantly being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Because it's my ass is always in the fire.
Yeah, very cool. So two things. I want to ask you one question, but I also want, before we get into the question, where's the best place for people to find you? Because I already know people are like thinking, like, where do we got to find Lou? Where do we got to find Dr. Lou here?
Thanks. Yeah, so my website, my name, loucorleto.com. LOUCORLETO. That's the quickest place to find access. Yeah.
Beautiful. So then the question is, with these challenging things, what do you find yourself doing the most? Is it a physical challenge? Is it a learning challenge? Is it, what kind of challenge are your favorite? Where do you sense the biggest growth in your world personally?
So for me, it's always an inside out challenge, right? So I'm always upgrading my consciousness. The vehicle to do that could be something different, right? So it might be, hey, I'm going to go jump with these guys skydiving that are now, they're pushing the envelope that's outside of what I'm doing.
Okay.
It's an act, like physically, but it's bringing up all my stuff internally, right? We can't,
100%,
you know that, right?
Yes,
We can't separate that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, cool, where am I afraid at the next level? Whatever that is. Right?
Okay.
So how can I speak to now 5,000 people when I've only spoken to 1,000 people live in an audience, right? Oh shit, that's a different game, right? Yes, it's a practical thing of walking out on stage, but it's an internal job, right? What's the mindset that requires to be able to do that? Or let's go deeper in the ocean, right? So, let's go down 150 feet on one breath.
Wow.
And see if you can return alive, right? It's like,
well, that's the goal. Yeah. That's always the goal.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, and those are like really pushing it versus it could simply just be in reading something that's, jacking up the way I believe or think, right?
Yeah. So what's like the next fun thing right now that do you have any retreats coming up? What's going on like event wise for you?
Cool. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Actually, so next week, my partner and I, who I'm blessed to have a partner who jives this whole journey together. Just amazing soul who's involved at this same level of depth in our own journey. We get to share it together. So that's a gift. And so next week, we're going to go to Roatan and do some more scuba diving. And then we'll be of service to people while we're there. And then January 20 to 22, I'm teaching a 3-day event in my studio. It's called Life by Design. Funny enough, right? It's truly, so we go through like 8 core pillars of your life, and we strip away because everybody is capable of more than we're expressing. And so then where are the limiting beliefs, right? Where is it stuck in consciousness? What's jacking you up? Because we all have some kind of pre-built locked in pattern. We just can't see it, right? So scotoma, we can't see beyond what we're stuck at. So having somebody who's skilled at being able to point that out, clearing it out, and then creating a new dynamic for new skill sets and abilities to implement what you want and then achieve it, right? So that's what we play with. Awesome. And then in March, I think, we've got a 4-day retreat in our property. So we just bought 92 acres in the Smoky Mountains.
Oh, cool.
To house retreats here locally as well.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's always easier to potentially do it that way so you have all of the stuff, right? Yeah. Versus traveling to wherever in the world. That's so cool. That's so cool. What's that book, Acres of Diamonds?
Yeah, nice.
Right? Bringing the riches, and like they're closer than you think.
Yep.
That's so cool. So Lou, let's pause here. We're going to jump into the video section. Everybody, make sure you head down in the show notes here. You can link over our website. You'll see the next video, and make sure you definitely click on the links for Dr. Lou Corleto here. Lou, I know you also have a little gift, a digital gift, I believe, right?
Sure. Yes, I do. I'm not even sure what I sent. I believe it's
videos. It's 4 free videos.
So actually, this is a huge gift for people, and it's called Operator's Manual for Your Vehicle. And it's a 4-video series, right? And just so it's not long, that's all. They're like 15-minute chunk 4 videos. And the whole point of that is, like, you buy a phone, you get a manual. You buy a car, you get a manual. Like, how does this thing work? We incarnate into this form. We have no idea how it works. Even if you did before you incarnated, you have amnesia when you entered, and there goes the information.
Yeah.
Then we rely on the people who were here before us to tell us how it works. They don't know how it works. And they've been infused by the dominant model who actually confuses us on how it works. And then we become afraid, and which is disempowered, and now we're reliant on someone else. So this whole model, this whole video series is to re-engage you with your manual that you never got, right? And then learning how to translate the messages of the body, because we've grown up in a model that says, as soon as you feel something, whatever that is, it's something wrong. No, it's not. It's just information. So when you learn to translate that information and engage appropriately, you can create resolution in all of your bodies, right? Because they've done an amazing, it's evil, but they've done an amazing job of simply this one paradigm shift that people would get. And that is this: when anything happens in your body, it's automatically put under the umbrella of a medical condition. Anything, right? Physical, mental, emotional, physiological, anatomical. If it has an imbalance, right, a problem, it's labeled and it's a medical condition. So under this simple logic, mentally, psychologically, who is the only person that can help you with a medical condition?
Someone else.
A medical doctor, not just someone else.
Yeah.
It's specific, right?
Yeah,
a medical physician. That's what's happened to humanity. And it's just not clean, and it's not even valid. They're great at crisis care, but they have no idea about health, healing, and expansion. They're clueless. Now, what if we just change the paradigm and go, hey, it's not a medical problem, it's a healing opportunity. Just a simple paradigm shift. They're no longer medical conditions. Doesn't matter if you call it cancer, colic, headaches, hemorrhoids, whatever the hell it is. It's just a healing opportunity. Now, who can help you?
Yeah, you.
Anybody you resonate with, right? You might want to go bungee jump to heal yourself, right? You might want to sit down and do whatever it is. Go in the woods and drink some ayahuasca. Like whatever it is you want to do, right? God forbid, don't get adjusted. So just these are the things. Like, how do we start cleaning up this programming that we've all been fed?
Love it.
Yeah. So anyways, that's also part of the game.
Love it. That's so cool. All right, we're going to stop there. We're going to jump right into the video portion. So head over to the website and we'll see you in a few seconds. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Human Powered Life podcast. Make sure to head over to lifestylelocker.com to check out all the details on the show and to watch part 2 of this episode, which is only in video format. We also have this audio portion in video format if you want. Once again, I'm your host, Dr. Josh Hant, for the Human Powered Life podcast, and I'm looking forward to staying connected with you as a Human Powered Life hero. Remember to join the tribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.